everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 6 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, unfortunately, we start this episode on quite a sombre note. Can I have a moment's silence, please, for the Truro City Cup runs of the first season? They will be sorely missed. By the way, the league's going great. So yes, very sadly, we are out of all of our cup competitions for the first season. It ended in a bit of a pasting, to be honest. Earlier in the season, you can see that we were in the FA Trophy and we went out to Bromley 1-0. We were in the FA Cup first round. We won that, filed. We got to the second round and then we got absolutely thumped 5-0 by Guiseley, who are sitting high up in the Vanarama League. And it just wasn't one of those. It was one of those days where we couldn't get going. We couldn't find a way to beat a better opponent. They were better in every single way. And we came up against a bit of a brick wall, to be honest. Nothing we could do about it on the day. I tried everything, different formations, different styles of play, different personnel here and there through the game. And it just didn't work. So we had to kind of move on as quickly as we could from it, really. The last time you and I were together, of course, was for the 1-1 draw against Hayes and Yedding. So all of these January games have happened since then. And you can see that we did pick up very, very well, very quickly, through the likes of Neal and Hayes specifically, dragging us along. And we went on a bit of a run through January, which is fantastic. We can now focus on the league, which I'm not kind of too disappointed about. We'll have a look at the competition page and see how we match up to expectations in the cup competitions in a minute. But yeah, now we get to focus on the league. Today we get Salisbury. We'll talk about them in a second as well. They're sitting in 10th. But the recent form, 3 wins in a row against Merthyr, against Tiverton, who of course were top of the table at the time where we played them. Spoiler alert, they kind of still are, but the gap has closed. And then we played Poole and then Hendon. We got a 1-1 draw against Hendon. I rotated the side a little bit just to freshen things up, keep people getting some game time. Then we played Walton and we got another 4-3 win on that one. So 3-2 and 4-3, couple of 1-0s, very close games, a lot of them. But we basically managed to come out on top through pretty much all of it. So if we go in the competition page, you can see in the cup competitions, the board wanted us to reach the 4th qualifying round in the FA Cup. And we reached the second round proper, which I think is the most that Truro City have ever done. So we're already making history in the first season, which is fantastic. In the second of our cup competitions, the FA Trophy, they wanted us to reach the 3rd round minimum. Unfortunately, we got knocked out in the second round by Bromley. So little below that on that one, unfortunately. And then the English Southern League Cup, the board didn't really deem it important, weren't bothered about it. Therefore, I wasn't bothered about it. We rotated our complete 11 every time that we played, and we got knocked out in the second round by Bideford. So ultimately, I think the cup competitions have gone average in terms of the lower league-based ones, but the FA Cup, to get to the second round proper, was quite something, and we were kind of 1 draw away potentially from getting a really, really big side as all of the big boys come in, and we didn't quite make it this year. But that's a target for next year as we move on and into the future years, isn't it? To try and get into that 3rd round and draw one of the big guys if possible. In terms of the league, though, it's going amazingly well. There's Salisbury sitting in 10th position on 30 points after 21 games, but we've moved right up to 2nd position, just behind Tiverton. They're the only ones ahead of us, and it's only a 3-point gap. You can see that taking 3 points off of them and then going on a decent enough run ourselves has meant that we've managed to narrow that gap. Hayes and Yedding, one of our recent opponents, is directly behind us on 43, so 3 behind us. A couple of points further back, there's a couple of other top 5 position teams as well. So it's still quite close in and around that kind of area. but we are in a very good position for the second half of the season to try and hunt down Tiverton and see if we can take the championship title away from them in the Southern Premier South. So that's the intention. Today, though, we've got Salisbury, as I say, who sit in mid-table, so a decent side. But of course, the other thing to say is that we've just had a January transfer window and a couple of things happened in it. So, if you'll remember, just before the January window, we talked a little bit about the need to balance up our wage budget a little bit and try and get this club back onto a better financial footing. So, we've tried to do that a little bit, although it was very, very difficult to do in a January window. We'll have to work again on the summer, but we have done a couple of things. Now, the first thing to say is that Ryan George, our first choice right back for the first half of the season, mostly, in the end, he went to the New Saints. If we go and look at his history, you can see that for us, he played 14 of the games in the first half of the season. He's already playing much, much better for the New Saints, isn't he, than what we could get out of him. But once they came in on a free, there was nothing I could do about it at all. He came to us on a free. They've taken him on a free because of the non-contract rules and the low what am I trying to say? The small amount of years that you place your players on contracts at this level means that anybody can come and take them pretty much, and it's happened on this occasion. So he left the club, unfortunately. Didn't want him to do. But, you know, there you go. So we had to find a direct replacement for him. What we've got is we've got Shane White in the squad already, and he's probably going to play most of the games now for the second half of the season. Not ideal, but it's as good as we got, because this is the guy that I could find that was as good as I could find in the right fullback position, and he's not very good particularly. What I would say about him is the reason I brought him in rather than a couple of players that maybe had like a 10 in their tackling and a couple of other slightly higher attributes here and there is that the reason that they had those slightly higher attributes in things like tackling is because the rest of it was dreadful. They were in 1s and 2s up to maybe a 4 on the rest of their technical attributes. So they weren't particularly well-rounded players. This is the guy, as best as I could, that had reasonable attributes across the board compared to everyone else I saw. So in the end, it was him that had to come in. We had to pay him a bit of wages, but not too bad. And the other way that we've managed to change the wage structure a bit is that we got rid of a player. We released, where is he? There he is, Stuart Yetton. Now, the reason that we released Stuart Yetton is because 1, he's 35 years old, 2, he wasn't playing for us, 3, I think he definitely was our assistant manager, and I thought I could probably get a slightly better one, and 4, his wages were really high for somebody that wasn't really playing for us. So in the end, with a couple of months left of his deal, we released him and just let him go on to pastures new for whatever that turned out to be for him. So that was what freed us some wage budget. If we go and have a look at the wage structure now, what you can see is the overall balance isn't great, but we'll hopefully bring that down in the summer. The transfer budget, we don't have one, that's fine. I don't need one at this point. But we've got £9 a week left in our wage budget. And considering that we were overspending by several £100s, I think that's a pretty good way of turning that round in just one January transfer window. So that has been done. I'm happy with that. We can now move forward with a solid wage budget and see what the summer brings in terms of a bit of a reshape. And that is pretty much all that we did in terms of bringing into the club, because the squad was settled. We have cover for most players. I didn't want to bring a number of people in just to sit on the bench, if I'm honest, or not get any game time whatsoever. So in the end, that's all we did, other than one piece of business, and I tried to make it 2, but it didn't work. But if we go and have a look at Andrew Neal is pretty much the only member of our squad currently that has got a end point of his current contract of 2022. Everybody else is pretty much on 2021, and we'll have to figure out what to do with them in the summer. But he is so important to finishing our chances off this season. I wanted to keep him around for next season. I wanted to do it for the likes of, where is Harvey? This guy, Harvey, who is one of our best players. But if we go into his contract and offer him a new one, he wasn't saying this before. He was saying that he didn't think the financial package would be good enough and other bits and pieces. And now we have to find out how much he wants. So if we make him an important rather than star player and go through live transfer dealings for you. He wants 675. What can we offer him? Only 300 at the moment. So we can't do it at the moment. But just before his contract ends in the summer, if nobody else has taken him, maybe we can. Maybe we can. But unfortunately, just at the moment, not possible. But I do desperately want to get a few of these players in for next season if I can. Some of the key members, a couple of defenders that are playing very well, for example. Anyway, I'll sort that out as we go through the season. But yeah, Neal is in for the club next season, Andrew Neal. So hopefully he'll continue banging the goals in like he has this season. 20 goals so far. So that's the basic, the stuff that we did in the January transfer window. But now we get to turn our attention back to the league and see if we can find a way to take that top spot. Firstly, thing to say really is that in January we did actually do a pretty good job of being able to rotate this squad around a little bit to get people enough game time to make it so that when they do have to play, they're in a reasonable position fitness-wise, etc., be able to do it. The only guy that hasn't really had any is Alex Battle, just because he's just not quite good enough, really, and there are better options. And then, of course, we've got our new guy, Ben White, who's sitting on the bench today. Well, I'm sure he'll get game time at some point. It might not be today. We'll have to wait and see how it all goes. Unfortunately, it does mean that we've taken a little bit of a hit in that right fullback area, but there was very little I could do about it. So we just have to roll with the punches and see how we do in this second half of the season. In terms of the team for today's game then, nothing has changed of the style of play and the tactic, the formation, all of that stuff. That still remains the same. Ben White comes in, so we have a team today of Hammond in goal, White at right back, Dixon at left back, Collins and Richards in central defence, Allen, Rooney and Harvey in central midfield, Chamberlain on the right, Hayes on the left and Neal up top, and a bench of Murray, Walker, Riley Lowe, Murray Walker, the old Formula 1 commentator. That's going to tickle me every time I have to say it now. Anyway, we've got a bench of Murray and Walker, Riley Lowe, Sangster, Gerside, Thompson and Rooney. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I put my hands together during the team talk and suggested to the guys we need to keep our run going. So let's go and do that today. Hardly rocket science, is it really, particularly at times, but you know, there we are. That's the way that we decided to go. Hopefully we can get a decent performance. We're at home, of course, which always helps. So let's see if the crowd can sort of drag us through to a good performance. And immediately Neal gets a chance and puts it about a foot wide of that post. And it was a really good through ball, wasn't it, on this left-hand side by Hayes. And then not quite the quality on the finish that we were looking for from Neal, but a good early warning that Salisbury need to up their game, otherwise we're going to cause them problems. They're in a 3-5-2 formation. We do come up against a 3 at the back quite a lot in this division, and whatever the 3 at the back has done, attacking wise, they had a corner kick and they got a goal from it. It was a very simple corner kick to the far side of the 6-yard box as the corner kick taker was looking at it. And the header at the post went over the top of Hammond in goal into the roof of the net. And we go 1-0 down after 20 minutes of the game. And after that early warning, it's we that have to do something about this now. The goalkeeper has now got the ball again for us. It's dropped back into him so we can reset ourselves. We do that and win it in midfield. Great win by our attacking midfielder, Harvey, and we drop it back into midfield then to go wide right to Chamberlain, takes on his fullback, gets the ball in, but there wasn't a lot of support for Neal, and Rooney takes over at the top of the penalty box excuse me, and eventually it goes harmlessly through to the goalkeeper. And Salisbury get to reset themselves, and we've made an error in central defence. Bentley through to the top of the box and then strikes straight at the goalkeeper. And Hammond this time clutches onto the ball, and after 26 minutes, we're not doing so well, are we really? It's been a low chance game, 2 for us, 3 for them. They've put theirs on target. We've yet to register one on target at all. If we get to half time, I'm going to have to put a bit of a rocket up them. And we have got to half time, 1-0 down. So time to absolutely thrash the arms about, say I'm far from pleased from it, and kick them straight back out again, and then go straight into the shouts and fire them up for this second half, and just see if we can get something from this second half. So I'm going to move the cautious style of play into the positive style of play and see if we can get on the front foot slightly. Chamberlain on the ball, and then what was that? That was dreadful, wasn't it, really? A shot, maybe? But I think he spotted someone in the crowd he just tried to pass the ball to along the floor, and it went about a mile wide. Really, really poor from him. And so far, at 72 minutes, the time is ticking through on this game, and we are really very much under the cosh, really. So we're going to make some changes. So we're going to bring out Allen. We're going to put Sangster in, and then we're going to take out... what do I want to do here? I'm going to go into the 4-4-2, I think. So to do that, I think we're going to take Chamberlain off and put Thompson on, and then we're going to take Hayes out and we're going to put Rooney on. He will then play up top alongside Neal, and we're going to have to put Harvey out wide left, playing as the... let's put him as an inside forward, so at least he's cutting in and having a few shots at goal. Not ideal, but it's what we can do. So we changed to the 4-4-2. We've confirmed the changes. We go in, and now we go full bore, very attacking. And we're going to see if we can route one into the box, really put them under pressure. And I think to do that, we're going to make one last change, actually. And it's in our out of possession. And we're going to move this line much higher and squeeze the play a little bit, and see if behind that we can get something from the game. So that's what we're going to do for the last 15 minutes. And Rooney gets a chance. Now, it was disallowed for offside, but at least the through ball was a decent one. And we're beginning, hopefully, to show that we can have a say in this game. Harvey with the ball on that wide left, chips over the top, but Rooney made his run just slightly too early. And unfortunately, we're still 1-0 down. We've got 15 minutes to go. Can we get something from this game? We're going to go back into the shouts. We're going to demand more from the side for the last sort of 5-10 minutes of the game. But the time is ticking, and it looks like we're going to register a loss. And we do, and that's really disappointing. Such a great run through January. We did so well to come back from that FA Cup demolition job against us by Guiseley. And then we stumble a little bit today, and I'm not quite sure exactly how, but we did. So let's go and figure that one out in the analysis page. So what did we do with this performance? It was a bit kind of drab, wasn't it, really? It had a few moments along the way. You can see, first off, our XG, our expected goals, was a higher one than potentially Salisbury was supposed to have. So we really did underperform. They got their one goal from a 0.73 XG rating. We didn't get anything from our 0.88 XG rating. So we were behind the curve on that. And that very early chance from Neal really really did cost us, didn't it? That early chance that it put just slightly wide of the post. You can see we had a good array of chances, although some of them were quite wide, I would suggest, which is unfortunate. Normally I would prefer them sort of in this kind of area, and we didn't get too many of them today. And what we did was off target primarily. 1, 2, 3. Well, how are these off target? I guess they're near post headers or something, off corners, but 2 of them off target right on the line. Not had our shooting boots on today, and again you can see this is the difference with Salisbury. Their chances more so came from their central position in the penalty box, and they took one of them, and that's ultimately how we didn't get the points. Is they were more clinical. They had more chances than we did. I think, did they? Let's go and have a look at that actually. Hang on a second. No, we had 1 more chance than they did, but look at that. We had 9 shots at goal and only put 1 on target, and they had 8 shots on goal and put 5 on target. And that's the story of the game. We did okay in our passes completed. We had more possession than they did, but we just couldn't do what we needed to do with it when we got it into the penalty box. We worked the ball quite well across the pitch, more so along this wide right and central positions rather than left, but at least we were using every area of the pitch. Collins, our central defender, had a very, very good game. I was happy with that, but the sort of defensive midfielder River Allen didn't do so well today. And that's disappointing, isn't it? If we look at these shots in more detail, we'll just go to our own rather than Salisbury's as well. So there was no goal scored for us. Off target, 6 efforts off target. No hit the woodwork. 1 was saved. Only 1 shot was necessary for that keeper to save it. And that's the thing. And then 3 that were blocked. And all of those didn't really give us any chance of winning the match, did they, really, when we were that wasteful in front of goal. Passes, the completed passes, just because it makes me giggle. Intercepted, too many intercepted passes. The long ones I'm not so bothered about. That's clearing our lines. It's these ones in and around here. They're not long passes, some of these, are they? And they weren't reaching their target today. A couple of blocked passes, unsuccessful ones again. A few that were clearing lines, that's fine. But in and around here, we've got to be more accurate a little bit. And that's disappointing. Outer play, not too bad on that today. I'm happy enough with that. And 3 key passes, getting good opportunities into the box and not taking them. And the chance that was created was just 1 for Neal on this right corner of the penalty box. And you'd have to do something from there to beat the keeper, wouldn't you? And it just didn't work. It was a really poor display. Which other one can we look at here? Let's try and find a positive for us in terms of our own defensive display. So let's go to the tackles and just see how we did there. And you can see that we won quite a lot in this right fullback area. Shane White and dropping back Chamberlain did pretty well. A good central midfield, sort of central defensive area with Rooney and Richards and Sangster and Dixon all contributing in that central midfield area, and a couple out wide left as well. So once we remember, we drop quite deep in our style of play, so we're quite compact. So these kind of tackles are good because it means they're not getting to this point as much as maybe they could be. But it still didn't help quite with the points today. Tackles lost. Again, we lost a few out on the wide right area and a couple of really key ones in the box, which is not good, is it? And that puts us under pressure immediately. And no key tackles. There weren't any necessary key tackles. It was a disappointing day. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. We didn't play particularly well, did we, really? We had more of the possession and we didn't do enough with it. And what we did do with it, this is the key stat for the day. 9 shots at goal, 1 on target. And when you put yourself under that kind of pressure, the opposition have always got a chance, haven't they, really? And today they took it. And we got beat. And that's disappointing. So just before we look at what we're doing next episode, you can see that the gap has slightly closed, has it, behind us? I think there were 3 points a minute ago between us and the likes of Hayes and Yedding, so they've closed the gap. But Tiverton obviously lost the game as well because they're still only 3 points clear. So the damage that was caused by Salisbury today, not too much, which is really, really good. That's I'm very pleased by that, considering that we really didn't play well today, and Tiverton could have been 6 points clear. But look at that goal difference by them. We've got a goal difference of plus 15. Tiverton have got a goal difference of plus 35. The start that they had this season, let's just go in and have a look at that in terms of their schedule, because it must have been quite impressive through the early part of the season. I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry about that. Hang on, just get it back. There we go. So, yeah, you can see 5-0, 5-2, 4-0, 3-0, 4-2. They really, really did score a bucket load of goals. A 6-4, a 5-1, another 6-2. But this run of form since the turn of January when we played them, it completely caught them out, didn't it? And stopped them in their tracks. And in the end, they've gone on a pretty inconsistent run. A couple of other losses in there. One in the cup, one in the league. Couple of draws. And that is what has closed the gap up. And the gap really has closed up. We are 3 points behind. Having lost today, we could have been equal on points at least with them. So a missed opportunity. We have to get back on the winning streak again and put this loss behind us. We did it before with Guiseley. Can we do it again? Let's go and check out what we're up to next episode, though. And what we're going to be coming back for is this game here against Chesham. At the end of March, we're going to come back for the end of March and play Chesham. Couple of home games in there between now and then. So that's a good opportunity to get back on the winning streak and see if we can go into the latter part of the season through into June, where it's going to be quite a late finish, isn't it? Mid-June. We'll see whether we can get going again and really put Tiverton under a lot of pressure. By the time we get to play them in the early part of June, it could all be over one way or the other, or it could still be all to play for. So that could be quite exciting. So we're going to come back at the end of June. We'll probably be sort of end of June, end of April, sometime in mid-May, and then we'll play the Tiverton game and probably the Hendon game as well. There's a few episodes to go for this particular season, but it could be quite an exciting run-in. But next episode, Chesham, we'll just check in with them and see that they're in 16th position. So a reasonably good side for us to be playing. But then Salisbury were mid-table, and look what happened to us today. We've got to move on, though. So Beaconsfield is up next for me. And I'll join you for next episode, and we'll see where we got to in terms of our run through the early part of March. But thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. I hope you've all had a great weekend as we reach another Monday with another week ahead of us. Could be quite an interesting week with Truro City, though. So let's hope so. So thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. There's lots of ways you can do that through Discord and my Twitter page. All the links to them are in the description below, so come and join me there. Click the like button on this particular episode if you could. That will help me be seen by lots of other people. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.